I'm gonna have
Oop, check.
gonna have some seizures here. God
Put the epilepsy warning up.
damn.
Damn it.
Dude, real quick, I have been on a movie tear of just solid movies. So I just watched this movie on Netflix called On the Line. It has Mel Gibson in it. It's about like a radio show host, and someone calls in to the station, and it's like he goes to his house and like kidnaps his family. Dude, insane movie. It was like kept me on the edge of my seat to where I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And then it twists, and then it twists again, and you're like, I can't even process this right now. I highly recommend watching it. Fantastic.
On a scale of 1 to Die Hard, what is it?
It's up there. Just with like it's been a while since I've had a movie that's just like, wow. That movie just made me sit back and be like, wow. And then Gran Turismo, I watched it for the second time, but Alicia watched it for the first time, and whew, chef's kiss. PlayStation. Be doing it up. Wow, that is wild. Anyway, we're going to do this segment first because this is life-changing albums for us now.
We're back.
So we'll just hop right into it. 2001. Apple released iTunes. That's pretty massive. And then tragedy struck us again with 9/11, which I can remember vividly as a kid. For some reason, I was home from school. Maybe it was a weekend that it happened. I don't know, but I was in my house, and I remember being angry because it was on every channel of the TV. And I was like, why is this on every... Like, it was on everything, no matter if it was news or what have you. Like, it was on everything. And as... I think I was, 11? Yeah, I was 11. Or, yeah. So it was like, what is... Like, why is this... I don't watch the news. I don't know what this means. Come to find out, yeah, pretty big deal.
Yeah, so I was in middle school. I was in 7th grade, social studies class. And this, obviously they weren't telling kids anything because they didn't want to scare them. I don't think they really realized that not many of them understood enough in context for it to, ground. But
Yeah.
Our social studies teacher was actually a long-term sub at the time, and it was Mrs. Stowe, or Miss Stowe. She's probably married now. Otherwise, I'd try to hunt her down on Facebook like the creep that I am. But she's also probably pretty old now. But she just said, some things have been happening in places they don't usually happen.
Yeah.
Which really wasn't an accurate depiction. I mean, yes, no, we don't have terrorist attacks here every day like there in some other countries, but
yeah,
there have definitely been terrorist attacks in America before.
Yeah.
But then they sent us home, and I went and played Desert Storm.
The scale of this one was just like...
Oh, this is ridiculous. This
insane.
Is, I still think about the loss and just
the scale of it. It's just crazy. So this year in music, though, was insane. So this year is going to have a ton of honorable mentions. So I'm going to get those out of the way. The Gorillaz self-titled album that had Clint Eastwood on it, that was everywhere at this point.
That's what you should have watched instead of Gran Turismo. You should have watched Gran Torino.
That's a good movie. Tool's Lateralis, that had Schism on it. That bass line is so sick.
Dude, everything on that album is sick. I can't believe it's an honorable mention.
Stained's Break the Cycle. This album is good. This had Fade, It's Been a While, Epiphany, For You, Outside. Like, it blows my mind that this is an honorable mention for me, because this was a huge this was their album.
I mean, I get it. I like Stain. Yes, that was definitely their album, but in the grand scheme of things,
yeah. Blink 182's "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket."
get out of here.
First
That's an
date,
honorable mention.
rock show, stay
That's
together
an
for the
honorable
kids.
mention.
Yes, that is an honorable mention. At least in my opinion,
Yo.
because these years really started to be like, oh, like these are, like, there's so many albums from so many bands, like it's gonna get a little convoluted especially between me and you with our music tastes in this era.
Granted, but you're gonna have people rioting because you didn't include Blink 182.
Usher's 8701. You Remind Me, You Got It Bad, You Don't Have to Call. Dude, that album's so good.
I mean, it had good songs. I don't know that the whole album is like one of those things where you're like,
It's the thing about like these albums is like they're so long. If they would not be so long, they'd be solid from front to back. But they have so much filler, and like there's like 20 songs on albums. It's ridiculous.
It's 2024 and people are releasing double albums. So,
From Autumn to Ashes, Too Bad You're Beautiful.
Short
stories with tragic endings. That's like their breakout song from that album. But this one, and there's another one. I forget the album that came out after this, but it's up there. Edema, their self-titled album. Giving In, The Way You Like It. Like,
another good one, but
I think it was Jonathan Davis's brother that was the vocalist in that band.
yeah, I hold them in like the Stained.
A little
tier.
Worse, but
Yeah, maybe.
that's the Sub Pump.
That's
You're gonna
alright.
hear that quite a
No,
bit.
that's good. I was referring to the word worse.
POD's Satellite. This album.
That's an honorable mention?
Yeah. This album was huge for me. Youth of the Nation, Satellite, Boom.
Youth of the Nation
Set It Off,
was
Alive.
enormous.
Dude, I remember singing Youth of the Nation in, I believe it was, what's the racetrack that Williams Grove? They had like a little fair thing, and they had karaoke, and me and my friend Jesse were just singing karaoke, and this was one of the songs that I sang. Nickelback, Silver Side Up. As meme as it is to have Nickelback here, this album's pretty good. This was before Nickelback was like butt rock.
I'm going to digress on that point. I think they were probably always that, but I did like that album. Nickelback was actually my first concert.
Really?
Yeah. Nickelback, Three Doors Down, Puddle of Mud, and 12 Stones when I was 14.
You're probably going to shoot me for having this as an honorable mention. Brand New, Your Favorite Weapon.
Get out of here. No. What? That is the most iconic Brand New album ever released.
It is.
That redefined an entire generation.
It is my favorite Brand New album.
I swear to God, if Taking Back Sunday made the top 4, we're going to frickin' have a problem.
Taking Back Sunday is not in 2001.
No, they're 2002.
Incubus's Morning View. This one killed me not to have in the top 4, but it didn't make it. So the top 4 are Alien Ant Farm's Anthology.
No.
100%.
No.
Because I don't think people realize how major this album actually was.
It was huge. I will give you that, but I don't think it eclipses Brand New. I mean, Brand New literally like was the defining album for so many Seenie Weenies for like 25 years. Yeah. Alien Ant Farm, I mean, they had great songs. I love the band. And is that the one with Smooth Criminal?
Yeah, this was Smooth Criminal. It had Movies. It had Attitude, Wish, Death Day, Courage. It was a banger album.
It's good, but I don't think it displaces Brand New. Anyway.
Sum 41, All Killer, No Filler.
Absolutely.
Nothing on My Back, Fat Lip, Motivation,
Dude,
In Too
Fat
Deep.
Lip, like.
This album, yeah. It's
That could
this,
live in your CD player for a decade and be okay.
This was my like introduction to like the punk scene. Like this was when I like listening to them was like unheard of for me. Like this was the first time like I heard anything along these lines.
I mean, that's like
Because
OG,
they wore the studded belts and like the weird punk like outfits.
that's like OG raw pop punk. Like that was defining for the sound that would come to be pop punk. That wasn't, like this Buttercup, Blink 182, happy go lucky sound, but like the really more aggressive, edgy,
Yeah.
uncut around the corners.
Number
Tuna no crust.
Number 3, Slipknot, Iowa. This is the Slipknot album.
Yeah.
It is heavy as balls. It is angry. It is everything that Slipknot is and should still be. I mean, People Equal Shit, My Plague, the Heretic Anthem, like, dude, if I'm like driving in my car and one of the songs from this album comes on,
Which it won't.
I'm just 120, get the out of my way.
It is an amazing album. Unfortunately, it's not representative of their mainstream success, but that's usually true with a lot of bands that their best work isn't showcased. If you own a tank, this is what's playing while you're rolling. I mean,
This is the
that or Limp Bizkit.
This is the standard that everybody holds Slipknot to. Like when they're like, is your new album going to be heavy? Is it going to be like Iowa? And they're like, no. And it's like, well, we're not interested then. And number 4 is System of a Down, Toxicity.
That belongs.
Prison Song, Needles, Deer Dance, Chop Suey, Science, Toxicity, Aerials. Like this album, front to back, is just perfection.
Wake up!
Perfection. So the top 4, just because we've been talking about a lot of albums. Top 4 is Anthology by Alien Ant Farm, All Killer No Filler by Sum 41, Iowa by Slipknot, and System of a Down's Toxicity.
It's Toxicity.
Yeah,
I mean,
think
they like that. That was crystal.
yeah.
Like that was pure crystal. There was no stone unturned in production value on those albums. Serj Tankian's vocals and the articulation of his voice at the time was you can't comment on it because it was in pristine condition. And then the backing vocals from the short little crazy
Darren.
Yeah, Darren. Thank you. I couldn't remember his name. Wild. Just pure wild. And then to take this album and transcend it to the stage at places like Ozfest, like seeing it was a bloodbath.
This band came out of nowhere, to me, at least. Like, I remember seeing the Chop Suey video and being like, what is this band? Just seeing the vocalist, and he was, like, kind of weird, and, like, Darren was even weirder.
Darren definitely has something up.
And I was like, what is this? And then I picked this album up, and, dude, me and my friend Brent, when he would spend the night, would just listen to this album on repeat, dude. It was in the CD player, just looping.
I'll be honest, I never owned or downloaded the full album.
Really?
I, cherry-picked all the top songs. I was introduced to System of a Down by the Ozfest demo, which had Needles on it. And I would, until I was able to download songs, I, listened to track 2 on that album, just, over and over and over again. I wish I still had that album because it was some amazing stuff. It introduced me to Andrew WK as well.
I have the System of a Down album over there, I'm pretty sure.
I'll make sure I take a look for it before I leave.
So 2002, this is a year of music that really changed my life.
I'm still upset about Brand New.
This had albums that legitimately changed my life. So Coachella became a thing, and American Idol first aired.
That early?
Yeah.
Probably could have waited a couple years on that, but...
So the honorable mention
Just one?
Honorable mentions. I didn't mark these because I suck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 2 honorable mentions. Killswitch Engage, Alive or Just Breathing. This had My Last Serenade on it. Yeah.
It's good, but it's honorable.
That's a good one. And then Sum 41's Does This Look Infected? The Hell Song, Over My Head, Still Waiting. The amount that I listened to this album is insanity. I watched I have the DVD from this album. That it was like just all of their antics. It was basically like a CKY video. It's basically what that was.
Well, they were very similar. I mean,
so the top 4. I mean, you'll see why these are just 4 absolutely perfect albums. Simple Plans, No Pads, No Helmet, Just Balls. I Do Anything, I'm Just a Kid, Addicted, Perfect. This album
that is the Simple Plan album.
Dude, I remember skateboarding, just listening to this album in my friend's garage. Just.
Do we have story time? Do we have time for story?
We have a story. You can have a story.
At the last Warped Tour, like, you know, there was that year where it was like, this is it.
Yeah.
I went to the Merriweather show with my friend Abby, and Simple Plan was playing. So we went and we, like, you know, checked out a few bands, and Simple Plan was actually doing like a meet and greet behind the hill on the lawn. So we went over there, and she didn't have anything to get signed, so she had them sign her arm. Not a half hour later, we actually left the last Warped Tour early, went to a tattoo shop. She got his signature tattooed on her arm.
That's pretty tight.
And I'm just sitting there the whole time, and I'm like, is this really freaking happening? Like, you know, okay.
So, the second album in the top 4, Taking Back Sunday, Tell All Your Friends. Cute Without the E, Timberwolves at New Jersey, or in New Jersey, or whatever. So Last Summer. It's the Taking Back Sunday album, and I'm really not that big of a Taking Back Sunday fan, but this album is, like, top-notch, 100%.
So this is actually the only album in their early releases that have the original lineup, minus Jesse.
When I was in with Pride, we're going to do a cover show, and we were going to cover Taking Back Sunday. And we learned Cute Without the E. I think we learned Timberwolves, and we learned So Last Summer. Those were the 3 songs that I remember. But, dude, learning these songs, like, made me realize how difficult it must be to be in a cover band, because it was tough. It was really tough.
Well, yeah, I mean, Taking Back Sunday does a lot to articulate beneath just the surface. Like, there are, you know, these little diddles and stuff that they do in guitar, and the drummer really involves a lot of different articulations. Mark O'Connell, he's amazing. The whole band's amazing. But I think did I record with Pride?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I remember that now. Yeah, that album, maybe one of the best of all time of any genre. It's just so timeless. You think of the impact, and I'm getting caught up because
the songs in this album, like, if you put them on in a club, people are going to sing them. That's how massively huge at least 2 songs on this album are.
Yeah, I mean, Cute Without the E. Cute Without the E is the emo song.
Yeah.
I went to see Taking Back Sunday back in November in D.C. There was 150 tickets sold, so there weren't that many people in this club. They only played 7 songs. They played Cute Without the E, and you literally could not hear Adam.
Yeah.
You could hear the crowd and the instruments. You could not hear Adam.
So the third album,
Mm.
CKY, Infiltrate, Destroy, Rebuild.
Yeah.
Escape from Hellview, Flesh into Gear, Attached to the Hip, Close Yet Far. This album is insanely good. It really showed, like, they were more than 96 Quite Bitter Beings.
Yes.
They were much more than the band that wrote the like, they were more than that. And this album is insanely good.
Not my cup of tea, but I will acknowledge it for what it is. And yes, it was definitely a very, very big step up from their previous offering.
Yeah.
It showed that Bam was more than an idiot. I mean, he's, I guess, an idiot. If you're running in front of cars, it doesn't matter how smart you are, you're still an idiot. But, Bam Margera had his place in society, and I think that we all appreciate it.
I think, like, in retrospect, like, this album was, like, their kind of, like, break off, where they were like, they may have used, like, a song or two from this album in, like, something, but this was, like, their separation from, like, the Bam Margera, like, fiasco.
Damn it.
Yeah, I was gonna do that too, because that's getting crazy. This was like their break off from that, and they're like, look, we are actually a legitimate band. We don't need this to carry us. Like, so, but this album for me was huge. My friend Jesse had it, and we listened to it, and I think I liked this more than him, and I think he ended up just giving me the album.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And then this last album, this is an album that I hold very near and dear to my heart. I legitimately get choked up listening to this album. The Used, their self-titled album. Taste of Ink, Box of Sharp Objects, On My Own, Buried Myself Alive, Blue and Yellow, Poetic Tragedy. Like, dude,
Burt McCracken.
Every time that I listen to this album and I hear On My Own, I get the biggest lump in my throat and I want to cry. It hits me that hard every single time I hear that song. I've heard The Taste of Ink probably 17 billion times. And how many times do you think I skip it? 0. It's the song that comes on and I'm like, it's this song again, but I'm like, I'm just going to sing along to it.
I mean, to give context to that for our viewers, I'm going to preface it by saying your backstory definitely lends to that. I'm not going to get into the details because I don't want to put your life on, flame for everybody to know, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It grounds, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that song just, dude, every time I hear it is just like, oh my God. It's just a rock just fucking hit me in the head.
Well, yeah, no, I completely get that. In a lot of ways, it doesn't hit me necessarily that hard, but I do feel the same way to a degree. I'm not going to be able to pick one.
You have to.
I can't.
You have to.
There is no way, shape, or form that you can hold The Used self-titled and
can you believe
tell all your friends
those two albums came out in the same year?
That's you can't do it. You can't pick one of those.
Along the same thing with like The Used self-titled also, like, dude, this album was the album that me, my friend Niles, my friend Eric would be driving in his like Escort. We had 2 iPod speakers because his speakers blew, and we had an iPod Nano that we threw on this album, and we just drove to Hanover and drove to shows, and we were just singing this album. This is my choice for the album. It may be my favorite album of all time.
I mean, and that's saying something, but whoa.
Yes,
that's really saying something.
I think it's up there higher than that album.
That was one of my first exposures to that genre. You know, whether you want to call it alternative or emo, I don't care. I do view myself as an elder emo.
100%.
Because it was so foundational. There's no picking between those two albums. They're like, you know, if you had this little basket and it was the elder emo emergency kit. And you know, it's got like the black eyeliner in there and the studded belt. Both of those albums have to be there.
So let me pose this to you as an argument for which one should take the cake. I mean, if you go into a club and you put Cute Without the E on, and people are like, oh my god, I know this song. You're So Last Summer, you could probably put that on, but Cute Without the E is like the one. But like, the used self-title, I mean, The Taste of Ink, Box of Sharp Objects, Buried Myself Alive. Arguably poetic tragedy because that song was in grind.
That's the thing though. I think about playing that album in a club or like in pop culture, and it has its place, but I don't think it would ground as big or as largely as you're saying.
The Taste of
Like-
the
like
Taste of
Buried
Ink and
Myself
Cute
Alive
Without the
would.
E are like,
Yeah, Buried Myself Alive is like the used Cute Without the E, I think.
no, Taste of Ink.
Yeah. No,
Wha- Buried Myself Alive is not bigger than Taste of Ink.
no, The Taste of Ink is definitely their bread and butter. You're right.
That song is the one that has transcended the band and their place in like emo history.
But I don't know that it's going to ground as well as Cute Without the E would
It's
in popular culture.
100%.
Like Cute Without the E, you know, you have people who definitely wouldn't have fallen into the emo stereotype in the day, and they're just like, oh, yeah, that.
I promise you, The Taste of Ink is right there.
I think we need to go try it out.
That would be an interesting, like, experiment.
Time to go to HMAC. Oh, that's a better. Hey, Chris from HMAC, if you're watching this, you're not. Get one of these two bands there.
Yeah, I mean, the used self-titled. It's my pick.
Am I really not allowed to have a tie?
You have to pick one.
I'm taking Back Sunday.
I figured you would.
I
I
have to.
honestly figured you would.
I have to, because you didn't.
So, 2003, the iTunes Music Store launched, so you can now officially buy music on iTunes to put on your iPod or whatever. And Napster launched their own store where you could buy music. So this is when digital downloads for music really started to kick into the mainstream and become a thing.
Did Napster also shut down their website that year because nobody cared?
Probably, it wouldn't surprise me.
Napster was dog crap after they stopped free download.
This is a year of bangers as well. I mean, it was really tough for me to do this top 4 too. So, honorable mentions. Silverstein, When Broken, is easily fixed.
Damn it.
Smashed into Pieces, Giving Up, Bleeds No More. It's a certified classic, but it just missed out on the top 4.
Yeah, I don't know if it's emergency kit worthy.
A Perfect Circle's 13th Step.
That can definitely be honorable mention.
This album's so good. Weak and Powerless, The Outsider, The Noose, Pet, like, this is an album I can listen to from front to back. If you've never heard A Perfect Circle, listen to this album because it's so good.
It's good, but in context. Like, A Perfect Circle never really, like...
I like A Perfect Circle more than I like Tool, if I'm being honest. I
mean,
think Maynard in this band is like... Whew.
That album, that CD, was actually left in the CD player in the 96 Firebird that I bought in high school by the previous owner. I found it when I was doing the transmission replacement for it, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll listen to it. And then it wound up being very, very worthwhile. You know, I like them. I just don't think that they're all that.
Then the last honorable mention, this hurts for me to put in the honorable mentions. And it could be argued that this could fit into the top 4, but I think this album that's on number 4 is just a step above this. Blink-182's self-titled album. Feeling This, Violence, Always, I Miss You,
Holy
Down.
crap, man.
Yeah.
I need to hear these 4 and then we
So
need to talk.
this album was like my big introduction to Blink-182. Like in my early teens, like this is the album that I would stand in my room with my friend Eric, and we'd have our guitars that we didn't know how to play at the time, and we'd just dangle like a microphone from my
Schaefer?
ceiling fan. Yeah. We'd dangle a microphone from my ceiling fan. We'd crank this album up like as high as it could go when my parents were like gone doing something, and we just pretend in being a band, and we would just like sing back and forth like pretending we were in a band. Like I remember that vividly.
I remember learning to drum to that album. That's like shortly after I started drumming in my life, and that's foundational. So we need to hear these 4 to make an evaluation.
So the top 4: Linkin Park's Meteora, Somewhere I Belong, Lying From You, Faint, Breaking the Habit, Numb. This is my favorite Linkin Park album. This one hits home. It's perfect, absolutely incredible. It's 10 out of 10.
Meteora, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say that it's better than Hybrid Theory.
They're neck and neck for sure, but I
Yeah.
think this one just is a little bit further for me.
I don't necessarily want to use the word better, but I think it's more mature.
Yes.
Which makes sense because it's a subsequent release, but it definitely deserves a spot in the top 4 of this year, I think.
Number 2, Yellow Card's Ocean Avenue.
Whew.
Way Away, Breathing, Ocean Avenue, Empty Apartment, Only One. This is another. If you're into emo
Dude,
music,
that is an
this
emergency
is your.
kit.
This is yeah. It's perfect. It's another 10 out of 10. Just
Ocean Avenue wasn't that on an MTV show as like the theme?
I don't know.
I
I think Only One might have been what you're thinking of.
might have. It was one of the two, but those songs, those were foundational. They transcended stereotypes. They transcended generations. They were just.
Ocean Avenue is
can't talk about it.
another song that you can just go into a club and just hit play, and people are like,
that is the song.
yeah. Number 3, Story of the Years, Page Avenue. I mean, Until the Day I Die, Anthem of Our Dying Day, Razor Blades, Sidewalks, In the Shadows, Dive Right In,
I saw both.
And the Hero Will Drown.
I saw both of them at the same show last year.
I hate you. I could have, but I just refused to pay those prices. I mean, this album, I can remember, this is another album that I can remember exactly where I was when I heard it for the very first time. I was at Eric, because he was my best friend at the time. I was at his cousin's house, and his cousin's boyfriend was old enough to drive, and we were driving on like the back roads near like Helm, Wrightsville area probably, and I heard Razor Blades, and I was like, what is this, and why is it so damn good? And from there on out, like, it's my favorite band of all time. It's one of the many favorite albums of all time. Absolutely changed my life 100%.
Agreed. And I want to sidebar for a moment. Anthem of Our Dying Day or Until the Day I Die. You can only keep one. The other one you never hear.
Ouch. I think Anthem, if I'm being honest.
Really?
That music video resonates more with me, and I love the music video for that. And it's also one of my like preferred songs to play on guitar.
Okay.
I love playing that song.
What are the opening lyrics?
You gotta put me on the spot like this. um, oh, stars will cry the blackest tears tonight. And this is the moment that I live for. I can smell the ocean air. Here I am, pouring my heart onto these rooftops. Yeah, dude.
They're insane.
I mean,
They're insane.
Adam Russell is the reason I became a bass player.
I mean, I could see that.
He is the 100% reason that I decided to become a bass player.
I could never see you backflipping off of the ledge at Chameleon Club like he did, but
No. And then number 4, before we derail, Fall Out Boy's Take This to Your Grave. Dead on Arrival, Grand Theft Autumn, Saturday, Chicago's 2 years ago. Dude, this
staple
Fall Out Boy album is so good. It's so good. And every time I talk to people about Fall Out Boy, they just neglect this album, and it blows my mind. It's so good. It's so good. From Under the Cork Tree is not better than this album.
Let's.
It's not even close.
No, From Under the Cork Tree is pretty good.
It's
I don't know
nowhere
that
close to this
better.
album.
Yeah, I mean, see, right now what's going through my head is, does that displace Blink?
For me, this just in terms of like front to back listenability, this Fall Out Boy album barely beats out that Blink-182 album.
I could see that. I could definitely see that because like the tail end of the Blink album kind of got a little ambient and
like
the
really weird like piano and like that girl talking like on a messaging machine.
Evidently they did something right because it's still stuck in my head, 20 years later. But and I think they had the guy from The Cure on that as well.
I'm not sure.
I'm almost positive I remember that.
So this begs to question: Meteora, Ocean Avenue, Page Avenue, or Take This to Your Grave? I have a feeling I know your answer.
I gotta pick Yellow Card.
I knew you were gonna pick Yellow Card. I called it.
Well, I mean, like, there's some history there, and
for
I'm
me,
not gonna get into that, but
it's Page Avenue. I mean, dude.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely life-changing album. Like I got when they did the anniversary tour for this, it was the 10-year anniversary for this album. I had to go. We got VIP tickets. We got to have like a acoustic show before the show, which was fantastic. And then we got to meet everybody. We got a big picture with everybody, and I got to like just talk with Dan and Ryan and Josh and Adam and Phil, and we actually met Hawthorne Heights during that show too, because it was Hawthorne Heights, Story of the Year.
I saw them a couple years ago.
That was at Baltimore Soundstage. But dude, yeah, Page Avenue for me, it's just
Page Avenue's definitely the best Story of the Year album.
Yeah, definitely. The way it starts out, dude, and Hero or Drown, it's just like that feedback, like cutting in and out, and it's the drums. Dude.
Yeah, but Yellow Card. I'm fairly confident the opening track on Ocean Avenue is Way Away.
I believe so, actually.
So you think about that, and it's the same thing. Like it's right there, it's just
punch, boom, yeah. So 2004. Justin Timberlake showed the world Janet Jackson's titty at the Super Bowl.
Millions of men got their wish and were drastically underwhelmed. Hey.
This is another banger of a year, dude. That it was tough to pick the top 4.
Well, and also, just to preface this, let me set the stage. In the year 2000, I turned 11. So I was 16 in 2005. This year I was 15. So this is like a really You know, and you're what, a year behind me?
I was 14.
Okay, so yeah, a year behind
Wait,
me.
yeah, 14.
These are extremely foundational, impressionable years.
Yeah.
So
So we'll go with the honorable mentions yet again. There's 4 of them. There's Killswitch Engage, The End of Heartache. It's when
that's
Howard.
good.
It's the first album with a Howard Jones, and Howard Jones in this band, dude. Jesse has his place, but Howard changed this band, and they just went crazy. So good.
Looking like a double wide surprise.
Under Oath, they're only chasing safety.
2004, yeah.
So, A Boy Brushed Red, Living in Black and White, It's Dangerous Business, To Go Outside
Walking
Your
Out Your
Door
Front
or
Door.
something.
Reinventing
Reinventing Your
Your
Exit. Like, this was the Under Oath album, and it is solid.
It was. I don't know if it was the album, but
For me, it's the album.
they had some really good ones over the years. I think that's debatable, but I would largely agree, you know, because it's iconic. You know, the girl on the front in the oxygen mask, everybody
Yeah.
knows it.
Green Day, American Idiot. So, I mean, American Idiot, Jesus of Suburbia, Wake Me Up When September Ends, Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Like, it was, when this album came out, I remember it was, like, cool to hate this album. It was the thing to, like, just hate this album. And when it came out, like, I wasn't thrilled about it. Going back to listen to it, why?
I think it's still cool to hate it because it's a marked departure from their other stuff.
It was a huge. This was like their.
Like, they walked into the mainstream on this one, and this was a very. Granted, Green Day was never going to just say, screw all y'all that supported us before. They weren't going to sell out like that. But I think this was definitely as close as they were coming to selling it.
Yeah, and they made it cool to wear dress shirts and ties with studded belts and dress pants.
Did they? Did they, or did somebody do that before?
I feel like for me, this was when it was like
they definitely blew it up.
Everybody came in; they wanted to wear eyeliner as dudes and spiky hair and stuff. So, this hurts my soul to put this as an honorable mention. The Used, In Love and Death. I know, but
I need to get the Chick-fil-A girl over here to give you the eye roll. Like, dude.
Take It Away, I Caught Fire, Let It Bleed, All That I've Got, Listening, like, another album that's perfect from front to back. And also, like, dude, I remember, my friend Eric, these were the years, like, me and him were just, like, he was basically living at my house.
I'm beginning to question what you and Eric did.
And we'd be trying to go to sleep at, like, 3 in the morning, and he would be on the top bunk of my bunk bed. We'd be trying to fall asleep, and I would hear him just be up there, and he'd be like, so deep. And I would just be like, dude, shut up. Because he sang that so much that because he was obsessed with Burt McCracken at this time. Like, it was his, like, idol. And for me, like, this is when I started to get, like, towards, like, heavier music. So at first, like, I would make fun of him a lot. But I mean, this is an album that I do hold very near and dear, but it surprisingly didn't make the top 4.
I feel like the conceptualization of him being in the top bunk may be a work of fiction. But we're not going to get into that.
So, are you ready for the top 4?
No.
Hawthorne Heights, The Silence in Black and White, Life on Standby, Nicky FM, The Transition, Ohio is for Lovers, Silver Bullet. Like,
that's an amazing album.
It's incredible.
That is an amazing album.
I saw them play this in a garage in York. Skid Row. They played this album from front to back, and it was on a whim. They were supposed to play a show, that got canceled. They made a post, was like, can we play anywhere in Pennsylvania around this area? And Skid Row was like, come on. I think Handguns played that show too.
You gotta love McKaiser.
Yeah, That album is, ooh,
Doesn't get the credit it deserves, but it's a staple for like that. That is the true emo album.
Yeah. It's like the emo songs should be. It's like the typical like, cut my wrist and black my eyes, like.
I like how you make fun of it.
Like, that was the thing of just like,
well,
if you're
I mean,
emo,
that's like you're emo, but like
singing the sad songs.
just real quick, I want to take a nod to, all the hate that emo got back in the day, and how
and now it's the cool thing. Yeah,
it's not even the cool thing, but it's given way to so much awareness around mental health in today's world.
True.
That, like, I think that was a foundational thing that kind of grew into today and what it is, and I don't think it's acknowledged that is what did that.
Yeah. Number 2, My Chemical Romance, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. Helena, I'm Not Okay, Ghost of You, Thank You for the Venom. Wow.
I rocked that album.
Wow.
You Forgot Cemetery Drive.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
just perplexing. Just perplexing.
Insane. And, like, to be honest, everybody wants to talk about the Black Parade.
It's good, but it's not where it's at.
It's not anywhere close to as good as this album.
No, when I'm Not Okay came out,
dude,
that it just like those guys. Gerard Way is
Joe Rogan's cousin.
Yes, but he understands showmanship. He gets it. He knows what it means to be an entertainer. Yeah.
Number 3. I don't know if this album is as big for you as it was for me. Atreyu's The Curse.
You skipped the used for Atreyu?
Dude, this album was so insane for me.
The Curse rips, but it doesn't rip like the used in Love and Death.
I don't know, man. Like,
sit there and tell me there are more songs on The Curse that
Bleeding
actually
Mascara,
ground.
Right Side of the Bed, The Crimson, Demonology and Heartache.
So there's 4.
I didn't write down.
Now tell me, I know you can
They
name
had a
In
Bon
Love and
Jovi
Death.
cover on this one, too.
I know you can name the songs that ground for In Love and Death.
There's 5 on here, but I mean, there's Cut Up Angels, there's Hard to Say.
And these are coming from your brain.
I know.
Think we need to reevaluate that one, but I will leave it alone.
Maybe. It was tough, man.
It's not easy.
It was tough.
It's really not easy. I mean, these are
I didn't even say the 4th one yet because I'm pretty sure this is your pick.
What?
Senses Fail, Let It Enfold You.
Oh.
Lady in a Blue Dress, Buried Alive, New Jersey Falls, Irony
MJ
of
Falls
Dying,
in the Atlantic, Irony
Rum
of Dying on Your Birthday.
is for Drinking, Bite to Break Skin.
Yeah, that.
This album rips.
Oh, you listened to it again?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, that album.
This is just one of those albums that I just forgot about, but when I listened to it, it just came right back, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
So Buddy, the singer of Senses Fail, has a tattoo on his chest that says, Follow Your Bliss. Yeah, actually, it's a line in a song, Follow Your Bliss, emblazoned on my chest.
Yep.
I knew I got it tattooed for a reason. My high school girlfriend actually got it tattooed on her foot. So that's how into Senses Fail I was.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's really a reflection of me, but, both of us, like, we both were right there with that. And it's between that or My Chemical Romance for me, because I listened to both very, very heavily. I had a stage with My Chemical Romance. I had the shirt with, like the Helena on it. If you go out to MySpace, I'm sure that picture's still out there. If you can get it to load, because those guys suck. But Census Fail, I had the Census Fail shirts too, like the ones with the bullets and the hearts, the pink one, and like
Yep.
it just. This is gonna be hard to pick one of those.
It's tough.
Well, you have to pick a Treyu because you skipped the used for it. So.
No.
No, you have to vote a Treyu, otherwise the used gets that slot.
I think my pick is Hawthorne Heights.
Oh yeah, I forgot they were in this.
Yeah. This album for me was another one of those ones that was like life changer album, just like cuz it was kind of like the first album that I really heard that had like that like raw scream in the back of it.
Considering, well, then you didn't listen to Census Fail very well.
This album was later for me. Like, this came later.
So, I have a proposal. Since it's 2004, let's swap the used and a Treyu and call it a four-way tie between Hawthorne Heights, My Chemical Romance, Census Fail, and the used, and consider that the foundation of emo, like the start.
That is
emo.
like kind of when like that whole genre was like mainstream, I want to say.
Hot Topic was the hot thing.
Oh my god, yeah.
I'm sorry, but if we swap those two out, which I don't care if we do or not, I can't pick a single album. You know, I say Census Fail is my choice, and then I'm like, no, Hail Hawthorne Hearts is my choice, and I'm like, no, Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge is my choice. I can't. I can't.
I think
I'm gonna get upset.
I think for you, like the way that you talked about the Census Fail album, like I think that would be your like choice as like the one.
That's the hard thing though. Like I think about it, I wasn't driving yet at that point. But every time I think about one of those albums, I can remember when I was listening to it and where I was at and what I was doing, and I was going through a ton of stuff back then. Like I grew up with my grandparents, and that was the point that I actually had to move in with my mom, and my mom and I did not get along at the time. And that's when I listened to a lot of Hawthorne Heights. And then,
I mean, it's the like all of these albums are like the most like teen angst albums
yeah.
you could possibly put in here.
Well, like I think of Hawthorne Heights, and it's like "Fuck my life, let me die," and then I think of like Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge, and it's like, oh no, fuck my life, you're gonna die.
Well, if I'm thinking of,
and then Census Fail's just like fuck everything.
If I'm thinking of the My Chemical Romance, it's like instead of fuck my life, I'm gonna sit in the tub and cry
with a toaster. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it. No, I don't know. I think the crying is really reserved for the Hawthorne Heights album. Like that is really that is the Woe Is Me album. Like the whole my heart is broken and I'm gonna fucking let you know it.
Like I think if we're gonna do the swapping, it has to be Hawthorne Heights, My Chemical Romance, Census Fail, and The Used as like the absolute foundation for their genre.
That's what I'm saying. Like those four.
So we're just gonna put all four of them. All four of them.
We have to. I mean, like
just as one solid rock. Just drop it down.
Let's just get them all pressed on the same.
Put
vinyl.
them on the wall. Break in case of emergency.
We should do that. We should get all four rights to all four of those. Get them pressed on the same vinyl, and then sell it as the start of emo.
Just have like each corner has like the album art on it. That would be sick. We got ideas.
It's never gonna happen.
So 2005, the last one that we'll be talking about for this segment, because we are coming up on an hour of just this segment.
Dude, this was...
Because this is just like building blocks for our lives, basically. So Blink-182 went on their huge hiatus in 2005. Brian Welch left Korn and became a Christian. And
I love how it has to be noted that he wasn't a Christian when he was in Korn.
And Michael Jackson got off.
For the first time or for the last time?
No comment. So
He must have been at that amusement park.
so the honorable mentions. These are some weird honorable mentions because they are all over the place. System of a Down, their double album, Mesmerize, Hypnotize. I mean,
Had some good songs.
no. So I just recently re-listened to this album. It is a banger. Like, it perfectly follows up like Toxicity. It really does. It's got like that the Hypnotize was like the huge breakout from this album. Vicinity of Obscenity, like that song is so strange.
I didn't like them.
It's so like the album is like weird, but it's so good that you just don't care. Like Vicinity of Obscenity is just like he's just singing about terracotta pie. I don't know what that means, but
Terracotta is a type of clay.
if you listen to the song, you're just like, what the hell is this guy saying? It's so good though.
This is the point where Census Fail got not Census Fail. System of a Down got to a point where I started to get concerned about their well-being.
This album
Like they
was
were getting
really
kind of
good.
weird.
This album was really good. I really liked this album.
And I like weird.
Avenged Sevenfold, City of Evil, Beast and the Harlot, Bat Country, and I forgot about this song, Seize the Day. It's a pretty big album for Avenged. It's like their biggest commercial success for sure.
Absolutely. It's the pivotal moment that they went from like this awesome post-hardcore band
To
who would show up to play in like Chapter 4 and Unholy
butt
Confessions,
rock.
and they were just total mainstream. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, we're going to sign to Warner Brothers. I'm going to bend over on stage.
So here's the odd one out in this whole thing. Jason Mraz's Mr. A to Z.
I'm leaving.
Dude,
I'm out.
this album is actually really good.
You need to stop talking or I'm going to get up.
It's so all over the place, but it shows him as a musician just insanely talented.
I have no idea where you pulled that from.
Dude,
You need to put it back on the
I'm
shelf.
pretty sure I have the actual CD.
It's clear. It comes clear now.
It's so good.
It's like, so we just discovered that you have a guilty pleasure for Jason Mraz from 2005.
30 Seconds to Mars, A Beautiful Lie. Attack,
What?
A Beautiful Lie, The Kill from yesterday.
You put that on the honorable mentions?
Mm-hmm, and you'll see why. Him, Darklight. This was their like commercial success album with Wings of a Butterfly, Under the Rose, Killing Loneliness, Drunk on Shadows. Like Wings of a Butterfly was huge. That I'm pretty sure that played in Hot Topic like on repeat. But this album,
I think you could probably name a song from every album we've talked about that did
Yeah.
that. But
I listened to this album for a long, long time, and it actually was the CD that was in my truck when I rolled it, and it's still in that truck.
didn't know you rolled your truck.
Yep.
How'd you do that?
Hit black ice and hit an embankment. Yep. I had to
Okay.
climb out the passenger's door like it was a manhole. It was quite difficult. And one of our local legends, so to say, August Burns Red, Thrill Seeker. I mean, Little Suburbia, Barbarian, Seventh Trumpet, Consumer, Speech Impediment, Shot Below the Belt.
Huge.
Wow.
Huge. Yeah, I mean, these guys, you'd never know they were like from half hour down the road, but
Yeah.
they redefined
They
their
may
genre.
be considered one of the greatest metalcore groups like of all time. If I had to guess, like
Yeah.
with how massive they are and have been for how long now,
Without a doubt.
like dude, like this album it was one that just flew right under the radar for me, and I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that album. And then I started playing through the songs, and I was like, oh, I know this album. Okay.
I mean, shockingly enough, you haven't mentioned that we actually record in the same town as a Grammy winner,
They won a Grammy?
Hailstorm.
Oh yeah, that's right. I don't care about Hailstorm.
Well, you should. I mean,
Well, I mean, live as well. They're from right down the road.
I've met the guys from Live. I'm good.
I never said they were good dudes. So the top 4. Paramore, All We Know Is Falling. Pressure, Emergency, Here We Go Again, My Heart.
Incredible. Purely incredible.
Absolutely
Redefining.
Yeah.
Well, not really redefining, because it was their, freshman release. It was their breakout.
This album is really good.
Not Hayley Williams' best performance, in my opinion, but I do actually like how her voice sounds on this album better than any other one.
Yeah, I can agree. Story of the Year, In the Wake of Determination. We Don't Care Anymore, Take Me Back, Our Time Is Now, Stereo, Is This My Fate, He Asked Them.
They took this album, they took their last album and they said, okay, we're going to leave that and we're going to go to this. And it was a big change.
You want to talk about riffs and just ripping. This album is just it's so good. Technical, guitar wise, just riffing, this is if you look at this album and you look at Ryan, the guitar player, as a guitar player, watching him play these crazy riffs and just shredding a guitar, this is the album that I think of. This album to me was just one that I had expectations going in from Page Avenue. I was like, okay, yeah. But when I got this, I was like, oh, they let these influences in, where it was just their heavy metal influences were punchy and just breakdowny, wow.
Yeah, I got to be honest and transparent about this. I think that there's a little bit of I think it's a bit overplayed in spots, but it is. You can't deny it. There are times when it's unnecessary showboating, and it's okay, maybe backing it off a little bit.
Well, this also was really melodic solo wise too. They never had these unnecessary just shred sessions where they're just playing sweep after sweep after sweep, tapping on their solos for this were melodic with everything.
Yeah, I didn't say they turned into a 15-year-old metal band. I just think there were instances where they could have approached it a little differently and instead chose to really go, all the way.
Yeah. So another one on the top 4, you're probably just going to disregard this album. But Stained Chapter 5, right here, Falling, Everything Changes. I think this album for Stained, because I like Stained.
We can tell.
And I think this album beats out 30 Seconds to Mars, because literally after you listen to those 4 songs, the album just falls hard on its face.
You mean the 30 Seconds to Mars album?
Yeah. It just falls flat on its face.
Is 4 greater than 0?
What?
Because I wouldn't listen to anything on that Stained album.
Yeah, but you're also just not a Stained fan. You're not.
I think I'm in the common here, in the common ground. No, it's fine. I'm not worried about it.
Then the last one is Panic at the Disco, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. I forgot how many songs I knew on this album.
Yeah, it sticks with you.
And the names of the songs on this album, make them shorter. It's The Only Difference, Camisado, but it's better if you did. I write sins, not tragedies. Lying is the most fun a girl can have, and it's like, dude, and that's not even like the full names of the songs. Like,
I mean, he's not wrong.
my God. But when I was like re-listening to this, I was like, oh my God, I forgot how many songs I knew from this album. I completely forgot that this band was even like a thing, if I'm going to be completely honest.
How did you forget Brendan Urie?
I mean,
He
I
did the
I
thing
didn't
with Taylor Swift.
I didn't forget Brendan Urie.
But that was
I
his,
forgot
that was the
his-
band.
I
That was
forgot
the
his
band.
band.
That was who he was. That was it. It was the. Ugh.
I forgot his
My
band.
mind is hurt.
Yeah.
Damn.
They weren't a band that was like on my radar, and I even saw them live. I saw them with Blink-182.
They did play with Blink-182.
So the top four: Paramore, All We Know Is Falling, Story of the Years, In the Wake of Determination, Stain, Chapter 5, and Panic at the Disco, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. Which one are you picking?
Paramore.
I was going to say it's between Panic at the Disco and Paramore. And I figured you'd probably pick Paramore.
You really don't put In the Wake of Determination up there.
I'm picking In the Wake of Determination.
Oh, I figured.
that is what I'm picking.
At least you were cognizant enough.
Strictly based on Take Me Back and Is This My Fate.
At least you were cognizant enough not to pick Stained.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not picking that one. That was never a choice. But that album is pretty massive. Like, because when I saw Aaron Lewis, it was like he got off stage, came back on stage, and like played like his encore, and he played just all the Stained hits, and it was like, wow, I'm getting 2 shows for the price of 1. It was so sick. So that'll close out this segment that is an hour and something minutes long.
I'm gonna check my phone quick because it's blowing up.
So, yeah, I mean, I think the next segment's probably going to be just as long because we're still running into the like life-changing albums for like the building blocks of what our life becomes. We're going to start petering off probably like mid-2010s maybe. You think?
So I had my daughter in 2012. That changed a lot. But it was also in bands still.
That's true. I forget I can't think of what year I stopped playing music.
The thing is that we haven't really given acknowledgement to country albums. And I feel like once you get to like 2020, that's where I like.
It's gonna start coming back.
Well, yeah, I mean that's where you and I like started to really like kind of pivot, and I don't know.
Our music tastes have changed for sure, but
Played
like
in a country band, so I had to listen to the crap.
So we'll go on to the next segment. We're gonna do a this or that segment, and we were just talking about it before we started.
I'm excited for this.
I wrote down some choices, and they are all over the place of like subject matter.
I feel like you might have to censor this.
So, Resident Evil or Silent Hill?
Resident Evil.
It's an easy choice.
Dude, I mean, Silent Hill's good, but nothing compares to Resident Evil.
Silent Hill is good, but for how big Resident Evil is, and I mean, I'm biased clearly because I have so much Resident Evil stuff in this basement, but those games for me, like replayability wise and first playthrough, like if I'm recommending something, Resident Evil 1 is literally just walking through finding stuff so that you can advance to the next area and advance the story, and like that's basically the premise of every Resident Evil game is find the thing, unlock the thing, explore. Silent Hill is like explore an entire town to find the thing, but even then you're like getting into like the other world, and it's confusing, and like I wouldn't recommend that to somebody just as like a first play. Like Resident Evil is like easy for someone to pick up and just like play through it.
I'm very confused. I just like Resident Evil better. I mean, I've
So do
played
I.
both, but
Yeah.
just like I don't.
I am.
I haven't analyzed it that much, buddy.
I also like. I'm looking forward to the remake of Silent Hill 2 because I think that bringing like a game like that and like remaking it to the standards of today, I think is going to be huge. PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation.
I'm gonna have to say PlayStation as well, but there's a caveat there.
There most certainly is not.
So clearly, PS1 and PS2 win out their competition, like during those generations.
Did PS1 have a competition?
That was like neck and
That
neck
was like
with like the N64 ish. Yeah, that was like N64.
N64 was a little bit.
It came out a little bit before, but that's like.
It was also like I don't know.
Because Final Fantasy VII was supposed to come out on the N64, but PlayStation was like, "Hey, we got discs that hold more data," and they were like, "Come again?" Sure, yeah. But for the PS3, Xbox 360 era, Xbox for sure destroyed PlayStation in that regard, in that era. Like, I'm picking Xbox 360 every time over PS3.
Okay.
Just like the system, the menus, the party chats, the gamer tags, like dude, everything about 360 just hits me in the deepest nostalgia. I'm just saying. I got a PS3 later, and like played, and like that's when I got introduced to like trophies and stuff like that, and like the PlayStation exclusives from that time. But 360 just beats them. But PS4 and like Xbox One, and then PS5 and Xbox Series X, PlayStation just destroys Xbox. Not even close. It's not even close.
I think in a large way, Sony is very much like an angry man who has been flagged at the bar, goes out to his car, grabs a bat, and comes back into the bar and just destroys the place. They're just like, I'm done with this. Sony owns it. I mean, I could see you on the Xbox 360 argument. I never owned a 360 though, so I can't like.
Yeah, like I don't know what happened with Microsoft when they went from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, but they really shit the bed there, if I'm being honest. Like, the menus just got super convoluted and just confusing and hard to navigate. There's too many things to choose from. PlayStation just kept it easy and just made it simple, and that's just better. It's just better.
I think it's arguable that building a console is like playing baseball.
Well, that
Japan will always do it better than America.
That's when it comes to that, yeah, 100%. Speaking of baseball, this brings me to the next one: arcade sports games or simulation sports games?
Arcade.
I think I'd have to choose arcade too.
If I want to play the sport, I'm gonna go play the sport.
Yeah, and sim games, they get too advanced now, like with all the choices and like the thing, like they try and make it more like involved.
Yeah, the player
And
development sucks.
it's too much. Like if I'm playing a game and you're making me go lift weights and exercise so that my player can advance, I'm not interested. Like that's too much. Let me simulate that.
I'm not trying to play 162 games just to up my fastball by 3 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Like,
if I want to jump into a sports game, I just want to jump in and play. I don't care about anything else. Like, and having like a fun factor too. Like, like World Series baseball for the Sega. Dude, that game is as simple as it comes, and it is so much fun. NFL Blitz, NHL Hits, like, I mean, does it get more fun than those types of games?
Does Wii Sports Baseball count as arcade or simulation?
I would say that's arcade.
Yeah, so
I
like
that's
that
arcade.
one.
Like Wii bowling, like, come on.
I like watching the videos where people tape their Wiimotes to a real bat and then take out their TV.
So I'll put a little context for the next one. Well, I guess I don't really need context. Would you rather play your games on a monitor or a big screen TV?
70-inch.
I prefer playing my games on like 27-inch monitors, maybe 32-inch monitors. Like, I like smaller displays.
The bigger the better for me.
I used to play my PS5 on that big screen there. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. And you know what I think ruined it for me? PC gaming.
That's not a big screen.
It's 65-inch. It's big enough.
Dude.
It's like, when it comes down to like technical things where it's like response time, the lag, the input lag, like that kind of stuff, like I have to have, like, I press button, things happen. No millisecond difference. I can't do it.
The fact that you can recognize millisecond lag is
Dude,
total bullshit.
Refresh rates, dude?
Refresh rates are one thing, but
It
like a
is
5 millisecond lag, I don't think you can realize.
100%. When you've been, like, playing with, like, the difference when you go from, like, a 1 millisecond response time to, like, TVs, which is, like, 15 to 30 milliseconds response time, it's insane how much you can notice it.
You must have that matrix trait in your in your character development or something.
It just, I can't do it. I don't know why. Like, I think it's with PC gaming and, like, the fast refresh rates and stuff that I get where, like, it's just buttery smooth. And, like, I go from that to playing on a big screen TV on a console, and I'm like, what is this garbage? But when I'm playing on my the monitor right there on my PlayStation 5, like, it's perfect. It feels just good. But I digress.
Okay, John Wick.
Super Nintendo or Sega?
Duh. Do I really have to answer that? It's Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nobody, like...
So, there is kind of a different argument here for me. It's, like, Super Nintendo has, like, the Mario games. It's got the Nintendo, like, Link to the Past. It's got all these, like, classic games. But if you're playing, like, Mortal Kombat or, I forget, there's another game on it that's, like, if you play it on the Super Nintendo, like, if you play some games on the Super Nintendo, but they're, like, also on the Sega, most of the time the Sega versions are actually better and they run better, but there are also some where it's opposite. And Sega with Mortal Kombat doesn't censor the blood. Super Nintendo censored the blood. Fun fact. But I think it's just Super Nintendo. Like,
I owned a Sega so I could play Sonic.
Which I just beat Sonic 2, and I'm not going to lie, I don't like Sonic games.
Did you beat Sonic 1?
No.
Why did you beat Sonic 2 before beating Sonic 1?
Because that was the one I had, like, the most memories with, other than Sonic and Knuckles, and I was just, like, upstairs, and I just threw it on. I was like...
You didn't even beat it on a Sega, did you?
No, I just played it on the Switch.
Oh, my God.
Dude, it is just... It's not
Did you use Rewind?
Not very much, quite honestly.
No, but you did.
Like 1 or 2 times. I didn't use it, like... I used it to save a life or just to save myself some time. But in all reality, like...
Have you no fortitude?
It's just not great, man.
No, it's not.
It's really not.
Like I said, I had a Sega so I could play Sonic. I don't really
Like,
remember
that was one of the
playing it.
games where I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. Sonic, I haven't played Sonic in forever. I remember Sonic being awesome, and I put it on. I'm like, this is not very good.
I talked about this in an episode previously. The thing I remember most from Sonic is running into shit and losing all my rings.
That and,
I
like,
have PTSD.
some of the placements of, like, you'll be like the idea of Sonic is to go fast. That's the point of Sonic. But the levels are not from left to right.
No, they like go up and
They
down.
go up and down, and like
around
you have to go left sometimes and up and right. Like, it's stupid.
The map is really weird.
And you can be running this way, and you go through like all these loops and stuff where like you can't see anything on the screen. And then you run into a spring that then launches you the other way. And you're like, why did you put that there? What was the point? To waste my time? Or they put just the most obvious thing like right here, so when you are at your peak speed, you just run into it and lose all your rings. And you're just like, I can't even see what's going on here. I couldn't avoid that.
You know what will make it better? If you go find the episode of Mad Mario where Mario's yelling out the window at Sonic and the other, that he's his neighbor, and they get really, really angry at each other and say some stuff. Don't show your kids that video.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
How is that a this or that? There's 5 of one group and 4 of the other. And well, I guess if you include the Sensei. Power Rangers.
What? Really?
I watched Power Rangers as a kid.
So did I, but I also was big
Kimberly,
into
right? That was the Pink Ranger's name?
Yeah. Yeah. But when it comes to, like, have you watched the Power Rangers show, like the original show? Have you tried to rewatch that?
I choose not to ruin my childhood memories by going back to them.
It is really bad.
It was horrible.
It's really bad.
I think Adelaide put it on once, and I was like...
It's really bad. The movie...
Like the eyeball thing?
The movie, still absolutely fantastic. But even the new movie was good. But when you go back to the show, it's poop soup. But the Ninja Turtles, all of those movies are fantastic. The cartoon's a little wonky, but it's definitely not as corny as the Power Rangers show. I think I'm definitely Turtles on this one.
Yeah, Power Rangers for me. Sorry, I got a text from Adelaide.
We're going to throw this one out on a whim and unrelated to anything else we just talked about. Beretta or Sig Sauer?
Sig.
If we're talking multiple different handguns, for sure Sig. If we're talking one handgun, it's Beretta, because the 92 FS is just chef's kiss, masterful,
Dude, the 92
perfection,
FS is amazing, but
buttery smooth.
the SIG 226,
Yeah, that's...
like, I mean...
Yeah, and the 365, like, those are just top. 320s even fantastic.
Even, nope. No. I had one of those. They had a drop fire issue. Sorry.
The one I shot was perfectly
Oh, they shot fine.
I think
Until you dropped it and it shot you.
I think overall Sig Sauer is my choice. So on to the major topics today.
You didn't say boxers or briefs.
Who wears regular boxers? If you say you wear regular boxers, get out.
I'm going to leave it a mystery for the ladies.
He is single, by the way.
Thanks for reminding me.
Hit him up. He's on the prowl. He's looking to get locked down, ladies.
Are you done yet?
So, has the accessibility of the internet and social media ruined games? And to put it into perspective, like with people getting early copies as like streamers and streaming it and doing reviews, posting reviews on like gaming forums and stuff like that and social media, people that, you know, play the game at a slower pace than others, and then people post on social media like spoilers and stuff like that sort of stuff. Has that ruined like gaming at least a little bit?
I mean, if you're pitching it in that frame, maybe a little bit. I think the internet has ruined a lot of stuff.
I believe so too.
I think the internet ruined the world, but it also, you know, brought us together to a degree, in a sense. Like there's a lot of
it
benefits
has its
there.
goods, and it has, I think the bad outweighs the good, but there are benefits to the internet and the benefits even in social media as well. Like the bad definitely outweigh the good.
If we're weighing pros and cons here, we definitely have a lot of work to do before the benefits far exceed the setbacks. You know, this has been like a runaway freight train since Al Gore said, "Hey, the World Wide Web." Yeah, like it's unchecked, and I'm not saying that it should be checked. I don't agree with that. I think it's good that they're largely keeping their hands out of it, but I think it is negatively impacting people in a lot of ways
100%.
that are really, really, really hard to fix.
I can agree.
But as far as games are concerned, yeah, maybe a little bit. I don't see it, because when I think about a game, you know, I think about when I was a kid playing a game and when we didn't have the internet.
Yeah. And
I think about how I enjoyed it then, and then I compare that to how I enjoy games now, and I think about whether I see it negatively. And I think that the thing is that although the internet, in the sense that you presented, could ruin a game, most of the games I play now I wouldn't be able to play without the internet.
True. I think for like the single player aspect of like games, it definitely has put a huge damper on it, especially for me, because like I don't have all the time in the world. I've said it 1,000 times, but when like I'm naturally gonna be on social media or YouTube far more than I have time to play games, because I can listen to YouTube at work, and when I'm watching it upstairs or chilling at night, like I'm just naturally going to watch. And what is the content that I consume the most of in terms of YouTube? Gaming stuff. I like watching people play games. So when I pick up, you know, a game and I want to play it blind, and I just want to not know anything, and I just want to figure it out.
1 second. You like watching people play games?
Yes.
I should have introduced you to my ex-girlfriend.
She played a lot of games. And I want to go into it blind. It's hard because the temptation is there to, when you get stuck and you're like, I don't want to spend the time figuring this out. I just want to get to the next part.
You want to look it up?
You can just look it up.
But we could do that when we were kids, though.
If you had the strategy guide.
And if you didn't, you know, ran out to Babbage's or EB Games or before it was EB Games, it was Electronics Boutique.
Mm-hmm.
You just went and got it,
Yeah.
which sometimes was harder than. Do you remember like going to one EB Games and then them not having something, so you
Yes.
like wind up getting your parents to take you halfway across the state? Sorry, I just sidetracked, but that was a good memory.
But then there's benefits to, like, I have that as an option to where, like, I don't have to get stuck and waste 3 full days of, like, my game time to try and figure something out. I can just be like, all right, I've hit my limit. I'm just going to look it up. Or when I play something and I'm like, what's the best build? Because then you get to go down that rabbit hole of, like, you start your build earlier than you normally would, and you put all of your points that you can't take back into the things that further make that build stronger, which makes you then have the game be a little smidge bit easier. So for me, like, I've had more movies and shows get ruined for me than games. But that's just because I'm not friends with many people that play games like I do. That's just... And the people that I know that play games are people that play multiplayer games. They play, the Call of Duties. They play Destiny. They play whatever else is, like, Fortnite or whatever. Like, they mainly stick to those kind of games. So I don't really have to worry about those... like, games getting spoiled for me. The way that I have to worry about that is, like, I can avoid that. If I see, like, this person playing this game, I'm like, well, I'm just not going to watch them.
You said it on the channel.
What?
The F word.
Fortnite? We talked about it last week. Didn't we? We talked about it last week. I think.
We don't talk about Bruno.
But I do think that, like, the spoilers and like if I had a massive network of friends that played games and I had to worry about hopping on Facebook for them to spoil something or, like, texting me and stuff, like, it would definitely be a lot. My opinion would definitely be swayed. Like, yeah, it does ruin it to a small extent.
Gonna chime in. Present this in a light that some people aren't gonna like. Problem isn't the damn internet. Problem is that your friend thinks it's acceptable to put a spoiler out on the internet.
True.
The problem is people.
That is true. And it's especially when, like, the game just came out.
Yeah, like it just...
You have,
people
like,
aren't
this
self-aware.
This time period of just don't say anything.
Yeah, well, it's like when someone's bowling a 300. If they have if they're 6 strikes in, you don't talk about it. We don't talk about Bruno. I mean, like, it keeps going back to that. It's
Dude,
like
I remember
there are accepted times to talk.
I remember the first time in my bowling league when I was watching, like, this was when I was 14 maybe, watching somebody bowl, and they were in the 10th frame, and they struck on the first frame of the 10th. They got a strike, and I was like, oh my god, you're gonna bowl a 300. And everybody just mean mugged me, and I was like, what did I do? It was like you just said, like, the most unspeakable thing, and everybody's just like,
the next
how
ball was a
dare
stone
you.
10 pin, wasn't it? It was a 9-count stone 10.
Yep.
And it
wasn't even like just stone. Like, it had the wrap around too, where it was just insult to injury. Oh my god, it was wild. And ever since then, like, I learned that courtesy, and I've watched many people bowl 300 games since then, and I've zip it.
We had a guy last night, missed it on the 7-pin. The 7-pin actually moved so far that it was out of range on the rack. So the range comes down. It doesn't drop for him, and then the rack comes down, and then it goes to pick it up, and then it lifts up and it drops. It's like,
we gotta go bowling again.
We should.
It's been a while. It's
been a while.
Been a while since we've gone.
We should take the camera too.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
That would be cool to do an episode from the bowling alley while we're bowling a game or two.
That would be impossible. But we can definitely...
No, we just need 2 other people to go with us, so that way there's 4 of us. So the 2 of us are sitting down for some of it, and then we're up. Like, we can make it work.
We can shoot some footage at least of us bowling. That'd be fun.
Here, watch me throw a gutter ball.
So, I guess this is probably going to be the last. This will be the last topic because we're an hour and a half in. I don't want to go crazy.
Gonna eat this.
So, I don't know how to frame this. So, back in the day, like, it was a thing when we were, like, in, like, the good old days to go rent games and stuff from Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. Not only was it just so much fun to go in blind to picking up a game that you've been looking forward to and being able to rent it, but also, like, especially in the movie aspect, when you would go and you would have this interaction with the person behind the counter of what movie you were renting and what game you were renting, and they could tell you, like, oh, this movie's so good, or this game's so good, like, you're gonna love it. Like, some people built friendships that way. Some people have met their, like, long life friends, like, that way.
Oh, boy.
I mean, if you're...
This is...
You're getting creepy with it. I know what you're thinking here.
No, I met my first wife at a bar. If that's where you're going.
No.
But they're actually part of that. Part of that does have to do with that.
So, like, also along with this topic, I'm framing this very poorly, but also, like, hand in hand with, like, these social interactions in, like, the rental stores, also, like, game stores. Like, the game stores that we had, like, that were huge. GameStop, EB Games, Game Crazy.
GameStop is a relatively new thing.
And going to, like, midnight releases for games.
I've done that a time or two. So are you just looking for, like, stories? Like,
You could do stories, but also, like, I feel like we are like, it's harder to make friends with the common
it is
theme nowadays because you don't go out to get stuff.
Yeah, we're removed from each other because we're connected by data.
If you aren't playing the game multiplayer and talking to strangers on the internet, you're not going to, like,
exactly
make sociable connections, and it's different doing it face to face.
It was a networking opportunity, in a sense.
Yeah.
I have some funny. So we can go a couple different ways with this. I have funny stories that have happened, and we can, like, cover memories from these stores because it is a thing of the past, and it's some nostalgia and some laughs and maybe some crying. I don't really get. Well, screw it. We'll just go that route. One time, so I grew up in Finksburg, Maryland, and there was a Blockbuster in Westminster, which is maybe, like, 5-10 minutes away. So all my childhood memories are from that store. Then we moved to Shrewsbury, and there was a Blockbuster there.
Where was the Blockbuster in Shrewsbury?
Where the Sweet Frog is now.
Okay, I know
Where
where
Starbucks is, like, down by Giant.
Mm-hmm.
And, eventually they closed, and that was it. One time, when I was a stupid teenager, or, like, maybe, I guess, older than a teenager, like, but not old enough to drink, we thought it would be funny to go into Blockbuster and pretend we were blind.
Dude, you're hitting some stuff that we used to do back in the day. I'll give a story after this, yeah.
So I go in there, and I'm acting like I'm blind. I don't look like I'm blind. I'm just being stupid because I was at that age. And the employee's like, "What are you looking for?" And I'm like, "I'm not looking for anything. I can't see. Thank you." And they're like, "Oh my God, what do you mean?" And I'm like, "I'm blind." And they're like, "Oh. Well, why are you going to watch a movie?" I acted so appalled at that idea that I walked out of the store. And then my friend walks in and asks, I think she asked for Dumb and Dumber.
Classic.
And the girl broke down crying. Like, just randomly broke down crying while she was ringing her out because of that. And I had to go back in. I was like, look, I'm not blind. I'm sorry. We were pranking you. And she was like, that was really mean, but it was really funny. And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
So my story that goes along with something like that has no relation to rental stores or anything.
Okay.
So we used to always be at band practice in my friend's basement, Niles' basement. And we would drive to Hanover to get food.
Oh, man.
As a group.
I forgot about Niles.
So we drove from his house to Hanover. It was like 15, 20 minutes, maybe not even that. And we used to go to KFC a lot because Eric and Niles were like big on Famous Bowls.
Dude, it's the Colonel.
So we went to KFC, but Niles pretended that he had Tourette's. So we went to the drive-thru to the speaker to order, and the guy came on the thing and was like, oh, what's your order? And he's like, can I get a KFC snacker? And just like went over the top with it. And the guy was like, say that again. He's like, can I get a KFC snacker? And just kept like over the top, just wild. And they took the order. We get to the window, and the lady gave us the total, and he gave the money and like twitching, like giving it to her. And the lady basically was just like, all right, like knock it off. And he's like, sorry, I have problems. And like kept selling it. We are dying laughing. There's no hiding that because it was completely off the cuff. He just went and just did his own thing. We had like the camera like hidden.
I can see that so well.
If I have footage from that, I can put it in the video. I don't know if I have it easily accessible, but if I do, it's going in because it's so funny. It's nostalgia for back when you just did stupid shit.
Yeah.
With your
So
friends.
before we dive into a couple more, I think I do want to preface this and say it's not okay to make fun of people who have these issues. But I think that there's a place where it's appropriate to have fun.
It's comedy.
Exactly. And it's a hard thing to understand and wrap your head around, but I just above all I want to say be respectful to the people around you. What you do is what you do. We obviously, made some decisions that may have been questionable at some times. It was funny. It was good times. But be respectful. I have to put that out there. We are not leading by example in this segment. To that end, do you remember throwing pizza crust out the back of the...
Yes, I do.
Before I forget, yes. So you were alluding to something with interpersonal relationships and the rental stores.
Yes. Well, no, but maybe.
Oh, I thought you were
I was just talking about being a weirdo renting X-rated movies and the person watching you do it, and they're like, this is a good one, you're going to like it. And how awkward. Like,
that's a very awkward encounter.
Never had to do that because I never, rented stuff from there because when I was in that stage of my life, we had the internet.
Well, Blockbuster didn't have those. They didn't carry them. Those were like the mom and pop shops where it was really questionable because you had no idea what was going on.
I just thought of another story. Speaking of buying X-rated movies, when I was 14 probably, 14 or 15 maybe, somewhere around there, my friend, I won't say names because they might watch. Well, he watches this, so I'll throw him in here.
Just
Brandon.
call him out.
Brandon. His friend Tony. I didn't know his friend Tony, but his friend Tony was much older. They would work on cars together all the
Hey,
time.
Tony.
So he
Show me
was
the
like
range.
much older than us. And Brandon was older than me too. He's probably got me by 3 or 4 years maybe. So I was pretty close with Brandon's younger brother as well, Brent. And their friend Tony went to an adult store, I don't know where, and bought movies, like DVDs. And the the friend grabbed one, like multiples, and gave them to them. They gave them money. And then I then gave them some money to purchase one. And it was just like, pull one out of the thing. Don't even look at what it is. Just snag it and move on. And that was like the first time I ever had like anything like that. And we had a portable DVD player.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
And it stayed in that portable DVD player. After the fact, like, I completely forgot that it was in there.
Who found it?
My mom found it. And she was just like, LJ. I was like, what? And this was probably like a year after it happened. And like I completely just forgot it was even a thing. Like just pitched it, like put it in like a pile of stuff. And she's like, what is this movie in here? And I was like, what are
Did
you
she play it?
I was like, what are you talking about? And she just like pulled it out and just like held it up, and I looked at it. I swear I probably went ghost white, and I was like, it was like the first time like your mom saw your search history and you didn't know how to clear it, and you're like, they're typing in the web address and like, come in here, what's this? And you're like, I can explain. No, I can't.
I mean, I was decently old at the time, but my mom walked into my bedroom.
That's happened to me so many
And like
times.
it was just like I looked up and I was like, oh.
It's like that's happened so many times, but
To that end, speaking about that, Blockbuster was forever ruined for me.
why?
So the gentleman, I'm not even calling him that, the asshole that worked at Blockbuster was very fond of my wife.
And
It didn't end there. We won't go into the rest of that. You guys can use your imagination, but
well, I don't even know what to think now.
it was an interesting endeavor.
Back on the lighter, more appropriate note of rental stores. The best was like during the Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1 era,
Yes.
when
Used to
my
rent systems.
parents would go to Walmart to grocery shop, and there in Hanover there was a Hollywood Video and a Blockbuster like right there, and they'd be like, if you come with us grocery shopping, like we'll go there and we'll rent some movies and we'll rent a game. And that's when I rented like WrestleMania 2000, WCW versus NWO Revenge. Like the wrestling games is what I rented a ton because that was like my life at that point. And then we got a movie gallery. Have you ever heard of that before? Movie gallery? The rental store? No? So that was a rental store that went in Spring Grove. You're familiar with Spring Grove? Ish?
Yeah.
You know where the Hardee's is?
Yeah.
You know the shopping center behind it that has Kenny's in it?
The one that's like the size of a shoebox?
Well, it's A little bit bigger. But at the very end, that was movie
Oh,
gallery.
you're partial to it.
So we went down to movie gallery, and that was like my rental store to like for probably the PS2 era stuff for rentals, and that was sick because I had a place to rent stuff right down the street from my house. Like,
That's cool.
and then we had Turner Video that was there before movie gallery that we would play Pokemon. It was like every whatever night
I think I just burped into the mic.
you would play Pokemon trading card game, and if you won, like you got like probably like some sort of like credit for rentals. That was during the Super Nintendo era. But the absolute worst going into rental stores is if you had this one game where you're just, I need to rent this game, and all the copies are out. And you're just like, now I have to find a second choice. And your parents are like, come on, let's go. And you're just like, I got to figure out the second choice. And they're like, well, you've got 30 seconds. And you're like, ah.
That was always Sculptor's Cut for me. Every single time I tried, because it was a Blockbuster exclusive. Like I think they sent 2 to every freaking store. And it was
Yeah, my big rental stores were Hollywood Video and Movie Gallery. Those were my 2 like big. And when Movie Gallery was going out, like I got to buy like a bunch of DVDs from them for like dirt cheap.
We see that.
And they had like the card displays that they would put like behind the movie, so when it was out, like it still had like the art display. So I would like bought a bunch of those for I don't know why. I really don't. That was one of those things that I bought that I was like, this is gonna be cool. And then when I was out of my parents' house, I was like, why do I have these?
Yeah,
Pitch
I
'em.
mean, if rental stores grounds for you, like if Blockbuster brings back memories, there is a series on Netflix. It's fictional, where it's a it's not Blockbuster, but it is a Blockbuster. Like it's blue and yellow, and it's very obvious. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't like. That's the thing with like I have nostalgia for Blockbuster because like I've gone to Blockbuster like a couple of times because sometimes my parents would go like on the other end of Hanover for something, and we'd pop into like Blockbuster, which was like on the other end of Hanover or further down from Hanover, but Hollywood Video was literally right there.
Well, that's the thing. It was always a place to like pop in. You know, you visit. You just go see what was there.
Yeah.
And
so I'm not as partial to like Blockbuster, but like Hollywood Video, that hits. That's my nostalgia. That's my rental store. Was Hollywood Video.
Yeah, for me it was Blockbuster. Getting the candy, when those cookie dough bites came out.
Oh yeah, baby, Bunch of Crunch. The snow caps. Yeah, dude. When your parents would let you pick a candy, and I think some rental stores had like fountain drinks in that too.
A couple did. They
Popcorn.
definitely had popcorn and cotton candy, like the bags of cotton candy.
At Movie Gallery, they had specials. Like you got a thing of popcorn, a thing of candy, a bottle. It was a bottled drink, and 2 movies to rent for like a package deal. And that was a game changer because it's like not only do we get 2 movies to rent, but we also get like snacks for the movie too.
So this was great. Like it was all great. It was just amazing. But do you know what my favorite thing about Blockbuster was when I was 7?
What?
The pretty blonde girl at the counter. It was cute and endearing then. It's creepy now, but
some things never change. Do you, in all honesty, if a game store, like for our area, like Just Press Play, if they had a rental program, do you think like where you could rent a game to play it, like new, like put it strictly to new releases. Like if they allowed like you to rent,
Well,
like
there's no point in renting a used game. But
wait, what?
go on. You said strictly to new releases.
Yeah, like Final Fantasy 16 or like Last of Us Part 2, like a newer game that comes out that's like brand new, just released that day. Like if they offered like X copies to rent, like they charged you like for a 7-day rental or a 5-day rental, do you think that would make more money to have a rental program than it would to try and sell the copy of the game?
I would be inclined to rent games. I think you would have to find the right price point.
The price point is everything for that program, definitely.
And the hard thing is that, your rental period has to be long enough for somebody to be able to enjoy the game, potentially beat it, but short enough to where they have to keep coming back and getting it again and again and again. Because that's the thing, like if you rent it for 7 days and it's a 60-hour game, if you're on vacation that week, you play it, you can beat it. Might have cost you $10 to rent it. Well, they ain't gonna buy that game.
So if you rented a game for 7 days, what would your price point for that look like? $15, maybe? $15, $20?
I don't think you can go 20 with it.
I don't think you could. I think 15 is probably your max.
You're at 50 or 60 to buy it. I think. I wonder if you even have to go below that. Maybe like 12 or 11 for a 7-day rental. I also think that the games that you rent have to be calculated in the sense that you don't rent out games that are just going to satisfy somebody with one rental.
Well,
I think it has
I
to
mean,
be
the thing about like a rental is like if you're satisfying one person with one single rental, now they can rent something else, and that rental that they rented can now get rented out to somebody else.
Right, but I think the premise on renting is to evoke additional business. You want to get them into the game, give them enough of it to where they like it, they want more. Obviously, for Blockbuster and Hollywood Videos model, you didn't want them to buy it.
Yeah. So
that's
for
different.
a game, I mean, for a game store, like that would kind of be the allure. There is
Exactly.
to get them to spend $12 to $15 on like a week-long rental to get their taste for it and be like, oh yeah, I definitely want to buy this.
So
and then for them to buy the game from you. But then having the marketplace to where you can buy it digitally does kind of put a damper in that, because then they can just return the game to you and then just go home and buy it on the PlayStation Store.
Or they can buy it on the PlayStation Store before they even return the game.
Or that too. But I mean, you've already got the money for the rental, so like it would have to be
I think you
weird.
do a 4-day rental though. I don't think you do a 7-day rental.
I don't think anybody's gonna rent anything. I would have 7-day rentals for like massively long games, like games that are gonna be like 100-hour long games.
Because you think of a 4-day rental, rent it on a Friday, return it on a Monday.
That makes sense, yeah.
Or Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, have it Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, return it Monday night.
Yep. After work or on your way to work.
Yeah.
I think it could. I think it could ground. I think that it could, make a comeback in that sense. I don't think you're ever going to see dedicated rental areas again.
And the only thing that you'd be able to do it for is games. You wouldn't be able to do it with movies.
No, streaming killed that.
Streaming killed that.
Well, actually, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if streaming really did kill that, because Netflix isn't an on-demand service. The only
but
on-demand service is Amazon.
You have like the rentals and that. I mean,
but you're paying like $5 to watch it once.
Yeah, I mean you have 48 hours to watch it too.
And plus, if you get a DVD, like rent a DVD, and then you just go buy a DVD copy, or you can really build your game collection by renting.
Well,
or your movie collection.
here's the issue with renting movies is like a lot of people just axed the DVD player altogether.
I
Or a
don't know if
Blu-ray
I have.
player.
No, I have one in my PS4, so I guess I do have one.
The people that have DVD players and Blu-ray players are the people that have PlayStation 5s or Xboxes. Like those are the people that would rent. But like the annoying thing for me like with renting movies and stuff is the 48-hour rental. It's doable for sure, but like if I rented a movie and then I just didn't get to watch it for some reason, like that sucks.
Sucks to suck.
And with Alicia, she falls asleep all the time watching movies, so
Dude, that's lifelong. You're never going to change it. It's chronic.
it's the worst.
It's chronic. It's iconic, but it's chronic.
It is the thing that bugs me the most because it'll be 8 o'clock at night on like a weekend. It's like Saturday night, and it's like we've been waiting so long to watch this movie, and I've wanted to see it so bad. So we either rent it or like it comes on a streaming service and we're ready to watch it. And we push play and we're halfway through the movie and she's like, "All right, I'm going to bed," and then turns it off and I'm like, "Are you shitting me?" And she's like, "We'll finish this tomorrow." And it's like, "You can finish it tomorrow. I want to finish it now because I'm balls deep in this story." I want to finish. I want to know what happens. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait to see what happens, especially when it's a movie that I'm just drawn in and I'm like, yes. The worst that on top of that is when she does it with shows where we finish half an episode and then have to come back the next night to finish the episode. And I'm like, where are we? What has happened prior to this? I don't remember.
I just want to remind you that there are so many things she could do worse than that, and she doesn't. So you should really be counting your blessings.
Yes, 100%. But at the same time,
it's annoying. It'll frustrate
we'll
the hell out of
have
me.
5 minutes left in a show. 5 minutes. And she'll turn it off to go to bed. I'm like, you can't stay up an extra 5 minutes to finish this?
Bro, I feel your pain. I walked in, she was making ham subs or something that smelled really freaking good, and then she turns around and she's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, we don't have enough." I'm like, all right.
We ran out of, I think, probably lunch meat.
I'm just
because we made hot subs last night.
I'm just messing with you. Next time I'm going to bring a French dip with the au jus and just chow down right in front of your face.
There was something else I wanted to say, but now I don't remember what it was. Oh, there's, to close out, back to the rental thing before we close out. There's a game store. I wish it was closer. Game Traders Club. They're in like Anvil area, up in like Lebanon.
The fuck is Anvil?
Like past Hershey near Lebanon.
I'm never going up there.
I understand.
I go to Hershey for Hershey.
Listen to this program that he has and tell me it's not the most genius program that you can do.
Is this the guy whose store is not organized?
Yes.
It doesn't matter. His store looks like shit.
I will bust his balls. Your store is unorganized and it bugs me. But his idea that is just, I do not understand why more people don't do it. So, do you remember back in the day when, like, Rent-A-Center was a thing?
Heck.
Like,
yeah.
He does
you paid a mint for something.
Yeah, he does a rent-to-own program.
Oh my God, stop.
So, but
No.
he does it. He will allow it with games where you're paying, like, so minimum each week. And he runs it 52 weeks, and he allows you to pay off the balance whenever you want. So if you want to pay like say like you want to try a PlayStation Portal. He will order a PlayStation Portal from somewhere.
So this isn't for games. This is for hardware.
Mostly for hardware. So if PS5s and Switches and Xboxes,
Like I get it that some people may need it for games. I understand that these are hard times, but
yeah, I think he
52
just
weeks over a 52 like a
I think he
$50
just
game
does
is
it
$1 a week.
because it's just another thing for people to rent.
I have questions. Do you get the hardware up front,
Yes.
or is it like so you take it and then you pay on it? It's like
So
a payment plan.
he has the thing in the store, but he also does an ordering system. So if you were like, I need a new washer and dryer, but I don't have great credit, so I'm not going to be able to go get a credit card. If you went to him and was like, hey, I want this washer and I want this dryer, how much would it be per week for you to order this for me?
Is the washer and dryer an example, or does he actually do those as well?
He does. Oh, he does anything.
So it's basically a rent-a-center.
Basically.
Yeah, I mean...
So it started with like...
Don't ever put a washer and dryer on a credit card, by the way.
It started with game consoles and stuff, because then you can just rent it and be like, I don't really like it, or it's not all that I wanted it to be, or I do not really have time for this. So
so you can return it in
you
the
can
middle of
return
your
it.
rental.
Yes. So if
Do you get your money back?
you pay it weekly.
Do you get that money back? So let's say I pay for it for 26 weeks and I pay $26, and then I return it after 26 weeks because I don't like it anymore. Do I get my $26
I think
back?
I don't know the specifics in that regard, but if you go and you...
Because I could totally see myself getting a PS5 for like 30 weeks and then deciding I don't like it anymore.
No, that definitely is not a thing. But if you went and got a PS5 and you like came up with the thing where it's like you're paying like $20 a week or whatever, you're paying like $100 a month, and after 2 months you were like, yeah, this is I want this. You could just pay off like the remaining balance. So like you're not paying like this price, you're paying this price.
The sooner you decide you want it and pay it off, the better it is for you.
Yeah. So if it's at a time where you're like, like I can't afford this, but it's something I want and I can afford next month, you could go in and be like, hey, I want that PS5. Let's do the rent to own program, subject to approval, obviously. But if you get approved, which I don't think it's terribly hard to get approved, they just get your info, they auto pull the money each week from your account. And, when you're like, oh yeah, like, here's the money for the PS5 to pay, just pay me off, just pay it out. Then you can do that. Like,
and if you let it roll the full year, you probably wind up paying double,
give or take. But like, dude, it's absolutely genius.
It's great. I think it's awesome. It's also usury.
I mean, for a store that you're gonna struggle selling like new games, you're gonna struggle selling like some old games. Like, you have people that are coming in to buy your high dollar stuff that you get in from trades. Like, there are people that you post it online, they see it and they're like, I'm going right in there right now and I'm buying it all up, because they just work out a deal to where they can make money off the back. Like, they can buy it at this price, resell it, and make like a little bit of money off the top. Or there's people that just are collectors of high dollar stuff. Like, it's an absolute genius thing for him to do. Like, it's...
Oh, yeah, it's very lucrative for a business owner. I mean,
yeah.
It sounds just like Zale's purchase program. My buddy just got engaged not that long ago, and he went to Zale's to buy the ring. He didn't have several $1,000s in cash, so
yeah,
he used their purchase program. He bought, I think it was a $3,200 ring, which is pretty nice. Considering. I think his total payments will equal $5,700.
Yeah, like you're paying up for
You're
it.
definitely paying for the privilege to use money.
You're able to like use the money, and if he wanted to, that he could probably have been like, "Hey, I'm ready to pay this off. How about we call it this much?" And they're like, "Sure."
Thankfully, they can't do that with houses. Otherwise, we would all wind up screwed.
Yeah. So, well, that's 2 hours in. I think we're pretty much covered everything we wanted to talk about, and then some.
I'm good all night, but I'm hungry.
Oh, you didn't eat?
No.
Oh, well.
Why do you think the damn sandwich smelled so good?
Say the thing, Andy.
We're Dad's game room.